Welcome to the Ruston Small Business Month podcast, coming to you from the Origin Podcast Suite. This month we are celebrating the heart of our community, our incredible small businesses. So let's dive in. Welcome, Brittany and Paul Spivey with Simply Chic. Thank you for joining us.
We are so excited.
Thank you for having
us. So let's get this story on Simply Chic. What inspired y'all to start the boutique? What is your journey thus far?
So right out of college, I had a biology degree, and I did pharmaceutical sales, and I would call on little towns, East Texas and all around Southeast Oklahoma. And when I would go and make those calls, I would stop somewhere local for lunch and then shop their little stores. And our first store that we opened 15 years ago was in Bossier City, where I'm from. And at the time, we just didn't have anything in that price range and that style. We really didn't have, we might have had one boutique, I think, in our area at that time.
What was it?
It was Rochelle's.
Oh, gosh.
And it was a little higher
even
end.
in Shreveport. There was nothing in Bossier.
There was nothing in Bossier. And
nothing.
Being from Bossier, we like to wear stuff from Target or Old Navy in that price point that is affordable but very girly. Mm-hmm. And so Paul and I literally were talking about the other day just how you see a need and you meet a need, and we needed that in our area. So that was where it originally began.
I remember 15 years ago living in Shreveport and driving to Bossier, even though the traffic is really hard to get over there from Shreveport, because Simply Chic was it. It was it.
The best is she was a pharmaceutical rep at that time, and so she told me, she's like, I really want to open this boutique. And I'm thinking in my head, like, you're making really good money. And so fast forward, I propose, we get engaged. So there's like a year's worth of planning for the wedding, and really like the boutique talk kind of like takes a back seat. So I'm thinking to myself, I think I got out of this. Like, I'm
not bring it
as
up
risk
again.
adverse. In the moment we got back from our honeymoon, she goes, okay, I'm ready to open that store. And she's like,
I got you locked down now. Now we're doing a boutique.
I've switched my gears.
Well, and I was the breadwinner. So, it was, I think for us, so it was like, you're already kind of broke and newlywed. You're like, we'll just, if it fails, we'll just start, start again. So,
It's a good time to do it.
Yeah. What was the biggest challenges in the beginning?
We talked about that. I think just the unknown. And so, you really have to have an entrepreneurial spirit. No one's going to hold your hand and tell you, hey, I want to help you open this store. Mm-hmm. And now, I think there are some organizations that try to help that. But Brittany and I Brittany had to just kind of walk through. And so she would go to the next place and be like, okay, I have to get my certificate occupancy. What's next?
I
you know what I mean?
Went to City Hall, and I remember going, I'm blonde and I'm trying to start a business. Because I had never taken a business class, a marketing class. I was a biology major. I took sciences, which Paul has a master's in business. But it really was.
It's something you have to do more than learning, more of the education. It is something you have to get experience.
And even open this one in Ruston, it's like you forget how much work is involved
goes into opening. And going to market for the first time, figuring out how to do that.
We didn't even go right at the right dates. It was so funny. Paul's mom actually went with me, and we went, and it wasn't a market. But I didn't understand because I had never
just showed up to where it was at.
And none of the showrooms were open.
Oh, bless you.
And but I didn't understand it. So
you got to learn.
You just had to be tenacious in that I'm going to put one foot in front of the other, and I'll figure this out, and then I'll figure out the next thing.
You got to crawl before you walk.
Was there anybody that helped you along the way?
I opened with a childhood friend, Jennifer, and she was with me for 4.5 years. And her husband worked in management and sales, and they moved to Dallas, and I remember we cried. It was one of the hardest things, and we're still extremely close. She was in town spring break, and I had happies for her daughters when they came in. So if Jennifer wouldn't have moved, she would still be with me. But she was great, and she was kind of like Paul is the yin to my yang, more detailed, and looked into the little bitty things. And I'm big picture, so it was great opening with her. But I think even when someone comes to you and goes, okay, how do you start a business? Well, that was 15 years ago. So there are things I remember, but you really do have to just get in there and fake it until you make it.
Well, the landscape has changed so much.
Right,
So
right.
Yeah.
Rules, laws, all kinds of things change. So you have to be willing to get in there and dig. And I think if you are willing to do that, that's going to prove success. If someone walks you through it, then you really didn't have to do the work to do it. to start.
Absolutely. Yeah. You kind of got to learn it on your own.
So what made y'all want to come to Ruston?
You know, Ruston's an easy place to fall in love with, and I think we have a lot of friendships and relationships here. People we've met, you know, just going to college and school. We laugh because our oldest son did well on the LEAP test, and the prize for doing well is they got to come to a basketball game at Tech, and he within 2 minutes was decked out in Tech gear,
This is where you're going to school.
and
Yes.
it's like committed. I mean,
Yeah.
and we saw Tech basketball players at the airport one time, and they stopped. And I literally wrote this like in a Facebook post because they did Tech so well. They stopped, took a picture with him, and he rips off his sweatshirt, and there's a Tech shirt.
Tech shirt on.
So it was just such an easy decision. A lot of our girls who worked with us in Bossier are coming here, just like our children. Out of the 4 of them, I'm sure a lot of them will come here and go to school. So we already had those relationships with customers. We already knew a lot of people had friends here, and then literally we're training girls and sending them this way. And so it just was a no-brainer.
And you had some tech girls that would work in the Bossier. I mean, some of your big Bossier girls were from tech too, so it was a back and forth.
They would come in the summer.
Yeah, come in the
I'll
summer on
add,
vacation.
So on top of the community being so great, in this, I'm not saying it because I have a microphone in front of me, but Ruston has been one of the most like business friendly places. Like the process that we talked about, opening a store, like from beginning to end, everyone was so helpful, and it was the cleanest process. And I don't think it's just because we knew what we were doing. Like generally, every next stop, there were people that were very helpful and like. So I can't say enough on that front. Like
has
I
a
really
Mayberry
do.
feel.
Yes, I really
That's-
do
yeah.
have like
So much to
A lot of-
offer. You know, there's so many different things to offer here, but I remember the mayor's wife like called me and was at, you know, when we were trying to look for a location, I'm like, how do I get the mayor's wife?
And they will. They
That is-
really
that is-
will.
how
Yes.
cool is that?
They
you
really
know?
will.
Yes. And I mean, I think when you feel like that, you feel supported, you feel loved, you feel, you know, wanted. Like people wanted us to come here, and we wanted to
We
be.
certainly
Yes,
did.
and so it was an easy decision.
No, and I know when the Facebook stuff started happening, it's like, oh, we can't wait for y'all to get here, and this is so exciting. And so, yeah, it's fun that y'all are here.
Thank you.
Okay, so talking about marketing, you guys have a big social media. What is kind of your best way of marketing and the challenges that you kind of have seen with that and keeping customers coming back?
We have the social media, you know, of course, and we were saying how our girls keep us young because I'm like the last one who wants to post or model or whatever, but they'll like, let's do this TikTok, and you're like, oh my gosh, here we go.
And you're
And
so
you know,
cute.
it's so relational. Like you have a relationship with someone and you trust them, whether that's, you know, a local magazine and you know, they know your store, they know your relationships. And so they know the best way to guide you in making those decisions. But, you know, the word of mouth and loving on people and making relationships is the best for us. More than anything. Again,
Love it on people. It really,
really
is.
is.
Really
Yeah.
is.
It's a real deal.
It
I
is.
mean, when you come into Simply Chic, you feel loved on.
And I think too, like you take a genuine interest in their lives. It's not, you know what I mean? And like, you know, what are you here for? And then all of a sudden, like I was in there working on something, and I talked to a lady before you knew it. I was talking about her son. Her son like was playing football. I'm like, what number is he? You know? and so it's just one of those things that I think it goes a long way. And like they feel like you're like, you know, they're kind
You
of
can.
singing.
Yeah.
But that's so cool because it's been a common theme with every business that we've spoken with today is the ability to love on the customers and how it has grown the relationship with them. And I think
Right.
that's another, you know, that's a benefit of having a small business is that you do get to know your customers personally.
You do. And I mean, I think, like I said, when I did pharmaceutical sales, and that was forever ago, I would want to go to the local places. So, and we are not hating on big box stores or big
Right.
business. No, not at all. Like we love them all, you know, but it does bring the flavor of the community. And usually those are the ones who are donating, sponsoring.
Exactly.
You know. And like
Yeah.
you said, the mayor's wife, you could call, well, I mean, most small business, you know, the owner. You can call them and say, hey, I need this. You know, how can you help me out? And so making that relationship and loving on people, I think, is number one. And then just having people in the industries who can help us and point us to, hey, this would be a good way to, get your name out there. It's good too.
Yeah. And no hate on Target, but you can't call Target and say, "Hey, I need a gift wrap."
I've
in
never
5
seen
minutes.
Target in a football program. I've never seen Target.
No,
like
Target
that.
is not in a football.
And I
Or
think-
on the back of, an archery tournament T-shirt. I've never seen that.
Exactly.
And I love Brittany's perspective. Like, we all have our niche. And, like, last thing she wants to do is, like, hate on anybody else. She's like, we all serve a purpose.
Yeah,
You just got to know what niche you have. And
I always said I really like to like people. I never could make the cheerleading team, but I really like to cheer people on. And someone will hate on Taylor Swift, and I'm like, oh, I like liking her, or it might not be your thing, but we're excited for everybody around. I think there's plenty of room at the table for everyone, and so I like Target. I like Target. I'm not hating.
No,
We need
absolutely
it all.
not. But you can't call Target and say, "Hey,
Right.
I need a gift for a 16-year-old girl. I don't know what to do. Wrap it up. I'll come pick it up."
Right. And I think there's just that small town. I mean, my boys get in the car and they'll be like, "Do we have deliveries today, Mom?" And then they're jumping out of the car and putting it on a doorstep for me. And that's still, I've been in it for 15 years, and I'm not too good to do that. Would you like me to bring it to your office? I can do that,
I love it.
And that's just the small town feel.
And that's
That's a
really
special touch,
That
too.
is
Little delivery,
really
yeah.
special. So, let's look back over the last 15 years. What's one business decision that had the biggest impact, good or bad?
we talked about that. I think the biggest thing was you kind of put yourself on the back burner and reinvesting in the store. And so, that was an area we started in one Suite C, we called it. And then we renovated that. Then we moved to Suite B. And then later on, we renovated that. And then we just recently acquired another suite and built out.
I haven't been there since.
Yeah,
now it's
so we
all three of them.
and
Well,
we
it's
renovated
two,
it
yeah.
again and
Okay.
got flooring, and then so we put money in to start the Natchitoches store, and then we moved a store over, renovated that, and then opened the Ruston store. And Brittany's credit, she said, "I want to have a van." A van? And I was like,
Love
"What do you
the
mean?" And so
van.
she said a mobile van. And so we kind of started pitching around ideas how we could, basically just break even. But that was a great example of just reinvesting.
Just
and
keep
so,
reinventing, not
Yes.
getting stagnant and staying the same, growing and reinventing
I
and
asked
reinvesting.
Some business owners, I was like, what advice when we were opening? And Gary Dooley, he's had a hair salon forever, and he said, watch what walks out your back door. So Jennifer, when we first opened, if we took something home, we bought it. And it just kept us accountable.
Right.
Because
That is good advice.
I'm the last, you can ask the girls. I usually like to shop the sale rack. I'm the last to take something home. It just keeps me accountable. And because I would rather you get the size than me get it. And
I have literally seen her with the last size or whatever it's wearing, and maybe that top's gone, and the lady talks about how much she loves it, and she's gone, changed, given her
Take
the
it off
shirt
and give it to
off
her.
that, like multiple
I will
times.
give you the shirt
and they're
off
like,
my
"No,
back."
you can't do that." And she's like, "No."
there's more. There'll be a new thing. But I credit Paul because we have driven the same cars forever. We drive them till the wheels fall off. And he
I
is
love
my
that.
frugal friend over here. And because of that, I really don't know what's going on in bank account. Paul really is the business mind of a lot of it. But because of that, we were able to reinvest back in the store. So I think a lot of people may open a business and they pull from that business a lot.
Yep.
And that's going to tank you fast.
Yeah.
Where we get paid last,
Yes.
and we try to be very conservative so that we can make sure our
That you
employees
can
are taken
grow.
care of and that the store can thrive for a long time.
That is such
It's
a
just good
really
business
good advice.
practice.
Yeah, and having great banks, helping taking
It
care of you, that
does.
helps too.
It
Shout out
does.
Origin,
Yeah.
And I will say too, this is on top of that. When COVID hit, I think that showed a lot of who had the grit. And talk about a good decision. Brittany did not let that stop her. And so when she had the employees, what she would do is we brought all the clothes to the house. I'm talking the whole class. We had
in our dining room.
yeah, all the clothes. And so people would order something. And so we would have one of the girls come pick up the bag. It would be on the front, and then they would deliver it. And so
Wow.
that was
We
also
were
a good
literally
decision.
selling out of our home. But
just
I
keep it going.
watched too who supported us during that time because you weren't going anywhere to need clothes.
True.
Right.
It's so true.
And it was a lot of teachers who just
In the
would buy a
community, yeah.
candle or buy a T-shirt or buy whatever, and loved on us and supported us when we didn't know if
That
we were
gives me
going to.
chill bumps. That's
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah, that's
sweet.
cool.
But I watched it and I was like, not that we didn't already support, because we've had such a great experience in just public schools and just, loving teachers and them always investing in us. But from then on, I was like, you'll never ask me to support a teacher. I'm there because
They invested
really,
back.
they carried us through that really hard, scary time.
Yeah, and we were sitting there, and it's like, well, we can shop online. Let's do
You
this.
needed retail therapy.
We wanted to buy something.
Needed a
We
happy
just
in your
didn't
life.
have anywhere to wear it.
Yes. And that's what people always be like, where am I going to wear this? I'm like, the gas station. It doesn't matter.
Just get dressed,
Well,
girl.
and some of us
Makes you
still,
feel good.
some of us still had to go to work.
Right.
Depending on the entity that you were in at the time. So, it was, some of us were still getting dressed
Absolutely.
and getting up and going to work
Yep.
every day.
Or at least wearing your top.
Yes,
Because
from the
you
top
were-
up.
yes,
Yes.
top
Pajama
up.
bottom bottom.
Yeah.
Well, I was learning to make jelly at that time, so I was stuck at home.
I was
I
not
made
stuck
some
at
dang
home.
good
Yeah.
jelly, though.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, there was good things. We always talk about that. Like, now there'll be a mama with a new baby, and I'm like, you don't have to get out of your car. I will run this out to your car. Like, leave that baby
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Because we learned that through COVID.
Uh-huh.
We can hand it to you through a window.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there was some good things that came
was.
out of it.
I say this all the time. There's always something good that comes out of something bad.
Absolutely.
So,
You gotta find the good in it.
yeah.
And heels are not near as popular anymore, so it's saving my feet. I don't think heels are ever going to go back to what they
they
were
were.
prior to COVID.
Well, and the older I get, the more I'm like, okay.
I'm
I
down
can't wear
with
just a
it.
shoe from
I-
anywhere. I need a
uh-huh.
little more support.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So where do y'all see yourselves like 10 to 15 years from now?
Oh, gosh.
I want to hear more about the
Brittany's the
band,
big
too.
picture one, so I would
I mean,
say
I always
she's
have
our
dreams.
dreamer.
Of things that, I'll be like, I'm going to just, now I tell Paul, I used to not to because I would scare him to death, but I'm like, I think this, and things usually do. But as we've grown, I have really tried to focus on what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy and do the most that I can. And I love the people. I love when you come in the store, that I know your name, that I can take care of you. So I want to do more of that, where I can just love on my girls that work at the store and love on the customers. I think we have 4 boys, and we want to soak that up and love on them. So I don't think right now we're like, let's open another store.
Sure. Yeah.
I think we want
Take a
because
breath and enjoy what you have.
I
right
do.
now.
This
Yeah.
is more than this is more like God had this in mind, not me, because I was just my 1,000 square feet, wanted to keep the lights on. So I think we're very excited. Paul, came on full time last year in May, and we're enjoying that. But I don't know if we really have a desire to open another location right now.
That's good. That's
It
okay,
is.
though. I mean,
So-
well,
And that
you
is
really
not-
did just open a location, by the way.
Yeah, and I mean, people are like, that's probably not the business minded, but the mama and wife minded. I just want to soak up the boys and love on them. Parker will probably be in Ruston in a few years, and I'll get to be here and have lunch with him, and then go work at the store.
So enjoy what
You know,
you've built.
For
and
so
the
many
boys.
years, though, because I had the other job, but I was helping. I was almost like that regulator, in the sense that like you couldn't go any faster, and so I believed in reinvesting in the store. But at the same time, I told Brittany, I was like, "You got to slow down because I'm only one man and I can't do the work." But I do what, to her credit, she is just such a good, just dreamer, and so she will come up with ideas. And all of a sudden it'll just pop up. And I'm like, that's brilliant. And so I think that's why Simply Chic's always been unique, is that Brittany's been able to stay ahead of the curve. And that's been,
Well, thank you. Paul keeps us afloat. I always say he has a master's in business. I'm just faking it till I make it over here. And so he
I
really
love a good spreadsheet.
He does. He loves.
It takes a yin to a yang.
It
Yes.
does.
Doesn't
It really does.
does.
And I'll be like, do you want to look at how I formatted this? And she's like, just tell me the big picture. Just give me the number.
I used to tell him, like, when we didn't work together, if I couldn't sleep, I'd be like, tell me about your job. Because we're just so different.
Let
What
me to
excites me. Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
So how do y'all? You are the second business that we've had today that is husband and wife that work together. How do y'all manage, being together business wise, but then separate?
So before I made the move over, I think we met with our banker, our financial advisor, our CPA, our insurance agent, our counselor, and we really defined what lanes everyone would like. What was she in charge of? What was I in charge of? And I think that helped to understand kind of like well, first off, what gives Brittany energy? What is she good at? What gives me energy? What am I good at? And so it's just having a better understanding of like, what are you going to take care of and what am I going to take care of?
That, I mean, y'all did your homework prior, so that is important.
Now,
I mean,
I
that's
try to read a lot of books because since I don't, to like a continuing ed for me. And so I will read books and Kendra Scott's book and, Buying Back Your Time, all these different things. And I mean, businesses will take a marriage and I like him a lot.
y'all really do like each other. I will
do.
testify to that.
And so it's like, that's the last thing I want. I mean, at the end of the day, I want, and so I think we knew like this is tricky. How are we going to make this work? But it really has been great because we've spent more time with our boys. He was missing so much that they were doing, and so we're able to do that, and it's more seamless. Where I'm like, okay, I'm getting this boy here, and he's doing this for the store. It's like our fifth kid,
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Well, y'all are killing it.
Oh,
we are
yes.
so happy to have y'all in Ruston.
Well, thank you. Well,
and now we just need to get all the boys here.
Yes,
Yeah, hey, you already got one on track.
bought in. Yeah, and we have to give a lot of credit to the girls who work with us. I say girls, they are young women, but they make us look good. I say they're like little brooms. We create this mess, and then they just come around and sweep up and tidy us up and make us look great.
They are so precious. They are always so kind and so sweet. And even if I'm just buying laundry detergent, they're
They're sweet.
And I do think like Brittany, she models like having a servant heart. There's nothing at the store that Brittany will not do. And so if it's cleaning a toilet, she's going to do it. And so that way they see Brittany getting on, like, cleaning. And so therefore it's like, okay, I need to get after it.
And those are your 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th children probably. Like, y'all love them like your own.
We were saying, I mean, I get teary-eyed every time I talk about them, but God didn't give me a daughter, but I have lived through so many things with them and loved them, and they've taught me a lot. So I don't ever feel like I'm missing out because, I mean, I've done the weddings and the baby showers.
I was about to say, I bet y'all have gone to so many weddings.
Oh, I did the numbers too.
I was just about to say that.
Not necessarily on the weddings, but over the 15 years, over all the stores, she's had over 125 girls come through that she's gotten the love on.
That's
And,
awesome.
Some of them will say, I'm harder on them about their grades than their parents are.
Uh-huh.
Because, I mean, I'm like, I know you're smart. I work with you every day.
Get it together.
Yeah. That was a lifelong decision when you failed that class. You just lost tops. And she's like, dang, my mom wasn't that hard on me. I'm like, well, I know you're better than that. So it is. Like
it's good to have another voice.
Yes.
Well, and it's not coming from your parents.
Right.
It's somebody that you look up to.
And there's been times where they've made bad decisions and they thought, and they've called me and I messed up. And I'm like, well, we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
And we're going to love you. And this too shall pass, So it has been fun to love on my girls because I have my boys at home, and then I come to the store and have plenty of estrogen.
Yes, but there's been a number of times mamas have later on after they worked in high school and college, they'll come back and say, "You don't realize the impact you had on my daughter's life."
They, of course, have made me a better person as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well,
this is an amazing story.
Yeah,
Thank
I love
you.
y'all's
Thank you for
story.
coming and
Y'all for
sharing.
and that
this.
y'all still like each other so much.
We do.
So
We
we
do.
really work at
I love it.
trying.
I love it. Thank
Did
you
we run
so
out of
much
time,
for
or can we do that last one? There was
Yes.
there was so much good that Brittany and I talked about that. last
Oh,
week.
Yes, most
absolutely.
definitely. What advice would you give to someone looking to open their own boutique or retail business?
You go, because you.
Well,
This is a good
we're really big on a lot of the personality assessments, and so we've done Colby, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, and so I think one of the big things, advice, is knowing not necessarily what you're good at, but what gives you energy. Because if you can find what gives you energy, and then you find a way to make a living doing it, then I think that is the key,
Great advice.
Right? And so for those who are wanting to start a business, like we've seen where they pretty makes sometimes the boutique look so easy that they're like, well, I want to do that and I'm going to make good money. But like you really got to get into it and find something like you're passionate about or that you love and find out like what are your strengths.
And don't chase the money. Like I would say that
That was
because
awesome.
there were many, many years that, we were just barely making it, but I was happy. And I always tell the girls that because a lot of them are in college or choosing a college, and I'm like, study yourself. Like I even, Rebecca Smart does like what season you are. I'm like, that's so cool. Find out what colors look best on you. Why would you not want to do that? Well, find out what jobs you enjoy doing. Like
what makes you tick.
Yes. Yeah. I like to create. I like to start a project. I do not want to do the details in the middle. He does. So finding that out, Paul would be miserable doing all the things I do every day, and I would be miserable doing his. So
but I think understanding that, embracing it, and not feeling like everyone has to be the same. Like, you know what I mean?
It's even good in a marriage. Like we have done some of these tests and like studied each other's, and I'm like, I'm never going to get him to do this because that is not his personality. So studying yourself and really finding out in college or in high school, start that now, and then I think you'll be a happier person.
Is like that is different advice than any other advice, but it makes so much sense. Like figure out what makes you tick, and then build a career on that.
So we believe in it so much that whenever like we
just paid
wrapping
for a
up, I was like,
girl
we got to talk about that.
We
can't end it.
No, it's so good. That's so good. We actually have done the Enneagram book with our leadership class, so we've been real into
I want to know what numbers you are.
That could be a whole nother podcast.
That would be
that is a whole other podcast.
Yes, I mean it's like
Come bring us back and we'll do an Enneagram podcast.
Let me reread the book again.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so
Again.
much. That was
This was
really
fun.
fun.
We appreciate it. Bevan and I might just be popping in this afternoon to do
Anytime.
some shopping.
Anytime.